Will the council come to order, and will the clerk please call the roll?
Anderson.
Present.
Campbell.
Present.
Oliver.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Goodhart.
Here.
Cassoff.
Present.
Sutphin.
Here. Will the Vice Mayor please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One of the privileges of being mayor is you get to interrupt the regularly scheduled program and issue proclamations. So I think this is actually my first proclamation I've done as mayor, and it'll be on Black History Month. And we have some representatives from the Black Cultural Center at Virginia Tech, students and faculty. So if they wanted to join me in the front, I will present this proclamation. See if this is the microphone. Oh, it is. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. Whereas Black History Month provides an opportunity for communities across the nation to reflect on the history, culture, achievements, and enduring contributions of Black Americans in every aspect of our society. And whereas the observance traces its origins to 1926, when historian and educator Dr. Carter G. Woodson established a week-long national recognition to ensure that Black history would be studied, recognized, and preserved, an effort that has grown over the past century into a month-long national and international commemoration. And whereas the year 2026 marks the centennial of this tradition of public recognition, inviting renewed appreciation for the struggles endured, the progress achieved, and the leadership, creativity, scholarship, and civic engagement that continue to shape our communities. And whereas Blacksburg is home to institutions, organizations, and residents who are helping to advance understanding and dialogue through educational, artistic, and community-building events throughout the month of February. Whereas Virginia Tech's Black Cultural Center, student organizations, and campus partners are hosting programs that include community conversations, film series, panel discussions, creative workshops, musical performances, and opportunities for reflection and connection. And whereas the Blacksburg Museum and Cultural Foundation is presenting its annual soul food sampling at historic St. Luke and Oddfellows Hall on February 21st, highlighting local history, food traditions, and the experiences of former Newtown residents. And whereas these and other activities offer meaningful ways for residents to learn from one another, honor Black history, and strengthen the sense of belonging that enriches the town of Blacksburg. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Michael Sutphin, the mayor of the town of Blacksburg, Virginia, do hereby proclaim February 2026 as Black History Month in the town of Blacksburg and encourage all residents to observe the month through participation in programs, conversations, and events that recognize the past, engage the present, and help shape a more inclusive future. Thank you all. I'm doing handshakes with everyone. Now we will continue on with the consent agenda. We have several items on the consent agenda tonight. The first is the town council minutes for January 16th and January 20th. Item B is a contract, and we'll be approving those town council minutes. Item B is a contract amendment for program management, owner representative professional services related to the Transit Center. We'll also be approving that contract amendment. Item C is ordinance 2110, an ordinance granting a franchise to GigaBeam Networks, LLC, and its affiliates for the construction, maintenance, and operation of a fiber optic network. We'll be introducing that ordinance and scheduling a public hearing for March 10th. Item D is ordinance 2112, an ordinance authorizing the lease of the Bennett House property at 303 Wilson Street. We'll be introducing the ordinance and scheduling a public hearing for March 10th. Item E is CUP 257, Educational Facilities, College, University, and R&D Research and Development. We'll also be scheduling that public hearing for March 10th. And then the final item is Resolution 2A26, a resolution referring proposed amendments to the floodplain overlay district contained in the zoning ordinance to the Planning Commission, and we'll be adopting that resolution tonight. What is the council's pleasure on the consent agenda?
I move approval of the consent agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Oliver.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
Goodhart.
Aye.
Assoff.
Aye.
Sutphen.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
The motion passes. We will now move on to public hearings. We have 2 public hearings tonight. The first is Ordinance 2108, an ordinance vacating public utility easements located at 3503 and 3511 Holiday Lane. We will start tonight with the staff presentation.
Larry Spencer has the staff report.
And it's not a overly long staff report. This was property that was rezoned by the council last year. It's out near the bypass. And as part of routine development, there are easements that were there to serve the hotel property from the 70s that need to be relocated. So this process vacates those old easements, and the town will secure the new easements necessary for the new development for the apartment buildings. So it's just a bit of housekeeping.
Any questions for Larry? Seeing none, we will now move on to public comment. Is there any public comment on Ordinance 2108? Seeing none, we will go ahead and close public comment. What is council's pleasure on Ordinance 2108?
I move approval of Ordinance 2108. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Oliver.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
Goodhart.
Aye.
Assoff.
Aye.
Sutphen.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
The motion passes. We will now move on to Resolution 2B26. This is a resolution granting a conditional use permit for general office use in the Old Town Residential Zoning District at 207 West Roanoke Street. We will again start with the staff presentation.
And Paul Patterson has the staff report.
Good evening, Town Council. Conditional use permit 25-5, general office in the Old Town Residential Zoning District. The property owner is John Skelton. Property is located at 207 West Roanoke Street. It's a little less than a third of an acre in size. The building is currently vacant, was recently vacated by Virginia Tech. It is zoned Old Town Residential, and the proposed use is for general use, general office use. This depicted in the blue is the property itself. It is a through lot. By that, it goes from West Roanoke Street to Wall Street itself. The existing condition, it contains a 1 1/2 story building with basement. Prior, there was a 1980 special use permit restricted to use solely by the Virginia Polytechnic Institute State University for administration in their faculty offices. And it was constructed as a single-family structure back in 1940. This is a depiction of the front of the property of the house. The current zoning is Old Town Residential. The future land use is medium-density residential. With all the conditional use permits, the criteria for evaluation is conformity to the comprehensive plan of the town, specific elements of the plan, and official town policies adopted in relation to thereto, including the purposes of the zoning ordinances. And then we look to see whether there's any adverse impacts that could possibly be with the proposed use. This is a depiction, an aerial view of the property itself. There are 10 parking spaces on the property. In the Old Town Residential, there are zoning district standards. In each case, each of the standards has been met and achieved. Back in 1980, 46 years ago, there was a site development plan. This is a depiction of the site development plan. It's kind of a blow-up of the plan. They insert to it. When we have a site development plan, they have to continue on all the items located on the site development plan for the use of the property. There are 2 things that were missing from the site development plan over the years. The landscaping along the front and rear property lines, and the bicycle rack for private bicycles need to be replaced. The recommended conditions, and there are 5 of them. The conditions required by the 1980 special use permit are hereby canceled and are no longer valid. Installation of missing site development plan trees and landscaping along the front and rear property lines to be completed by no later than July 1st, 2026. installation of town standards inverted U-shaped bicycle racks for 5 bicycles by no later than July 1st, 2026. Provide for 1 ADA handicap parking space and ADA handicap sign. And then lastly, a sign permit will be submitted for staff review and approval prior to the placement of any new signage on the property. The Planning Commission did hear this on January 6th of last month. They did approve it subject to recommended conditions, 7-0 with 2 members absent. And with that, any questions you may have for staff at this time?
Any questions? Thank you. We've seen that we've had the staff presentation, the Planning Commission recommendation. Is there an applicant statement tonight?
Looks like the applicant is still in Florida. We did receive an email from the applicant saying that they were in approval of the conditions and the timing on it.
Okay, thank you. Then we will move on. We will go ahead and open it up to public comment. Would anyone like to speak about Resolution 2B26? Seeing none, we will go ahead and close public comment. I don't think we need applicant rebuttal. What is council's pleasure on Resolution 2B26?
I move approval of Resolution 2B26.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any council discussion on this? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Ford.
Aye.
Goodhart.
Aye.
Hassoff.
Aye.
Sutphen.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Oliver.
Aye.
The resolution passes. We will now move on to the citizen comment section of the council meeting. This is the section of the meeting where you can come up and speak for 3 minutes about any topic of your choosing. So please come forward, state your name and address, and limit your speaking time to 3 minutes.
Hi. I've never done this before. Am I loud enough?
Yep.
Okay. So good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. And thank you to staff for their work during a challenging series of winter storms. I'm Jess Thornton. I live on Highland Circle. I also happen to chair the Town Corridor Committee, but I speak today as a citizen. It's a little ironic that I'm here today when the high was over 60 degrees, but I want to share a couple observations about sidewalk clearing, pedestrian access along Main Street in neighborhoods and on the Hook. So even now, a significant portion of the town's sidewalks remain snow-covered or icy. That includes commercial corridors, residential areas where people walk dogs, take kids to school, commute to bus stops, and move between neighborhoods. This is not a small inconvenience. It affects residents, employees, students, visitors, and especially people using mobility devices. This is an issue that the Town Corridor Committee discussed multiple times last winter. We, along with staff, explored better communication to property owners, and while there was outreach this year, largely through social media, current conditions suggest that it is not enough. And this matters for safety. In Virginia, pedestrians account for roughly 15% of traffic fatalities. Blacksburg's South Main corridor has been identified in statewide planning as being in the top 1% for pedestrian crash risk. Walkability is not cosmetic, it is central to public safety. I want to be direct about enforcement. For commercial corridors, especially Main Street and Price's Fork, the town should fine businesses that make no attempt to clear their sidewalks. And when sidewalks remain impassable, the town should step in to restore safe passage. People should not be forced into the street to get to work, to class, and to shops. In residential areas, I would urge the town to adopt a clearer escalation process. Warnings, followed by fines if sidewalks are not cleared. And because many residents cleared their driveways, but not their sidewalks, which indicates that the current approach is not changing behaviors. In addition, during the first snowfall, plows deposited heavy, icy snow back on sidewalks. I recognize that plowing is complex, but I encourage the town to follow up to explore strategies in high traffic areas to mitigate to help keep sidewalks clear. Finally, this connects directly to the town's commitments to bike and pedestrian safety. The Huck is transportation, not just recreation. Many residents rely on it to reach campus, work, and neighborhoods, and more care here is crucial to how people move around. salting and clearing need to be a priority. In closing, let me reiterate my key points. First, broader and clearer communication to all property owners about sidewalk responsibilities and enforcement of our existing code. Second, operational strategies to address sidewalks affected by plowing. The town has to bridge the gap. And third, a focus on major pedestrian and bike transit, including prioritizing clearing the huck. Ultimately, this isn't about arguing over responsibility. It's about keeping people safe. When sidewalks are impassable, people end up in the street and they risk falls or oncoming cars. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Am I over it? In this moment of constitutional crisis, we the people need to be using every lever that we can to assert our civil rights. Petitioning our local government for policy interventions would be one. What is happening in Minneapolis is alarming. ICE's conduct is a major issue. Violations of basic equal protection principles are an issue. ICE agents are acting unlawfully with, as Vice President stated, absolute immunity. One by one, we are watching federal overreach strip our rights. First Amendment, free speech, press, assembly. Second Amendment, right to bear arms. Fourth Amendment, search and seizure. Fifth Amendment, due process. 14th Amendment, birthright, citizenship, and equal protection. However, across the country, people are standing up and legislators are following. In a time of unprecedented actions, we the people are asking our lawmakers to offer unprecedented solutions. These are left, right, and everything in between legislators uniting under one principle: the federal government has crossed a line. This is a request to every council member to take a stance on this subject. We don't want the terror of what's happening in Minneapolis to happen here. Protections against ICE's behavior should be a priority and addressed at local level. A legislative package could include, but not limited to, prohibits ICE and other law enforcement agents from concealing their identities with face masks or unmarked vehicles and require officers to display badges. Codifies executive orders banning 287G agreements, which allow local law enforcement to act as ICE agents. Prohibit town agencies from collaborating with ICE. Prevent town agencies from collecting citizenship or immigration status information or sharing personal data with ICE without a court order or judicial warrant. Prohibits ICE from using town-owned properties as staging locations for raids. Bars employees from granting ICE access to town-owned spaces without court order or judicial warrant. We would like to see our local government taking a proactive approach with policy interventions rather than having to react later. This is about standing in solidarity with our Black and brown neighbors, immigrants, and at-risk communities in Montgomery County, all of which have been heavily targeted by ICE agents without due process or without warrant. So I come to you as an activist today and just kind of checking in with our local government. This is not meant to be finger wagging or fist thumping. This is a collaborative approach. There's multiple activist groups working on this and collaborating and coalition building. We would like to see our local government be part of that coalition.
And could you say your name and address, please?
Yes. Thank you for not interrupting. Laura Brown, and I am in Blacksburg.
Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for welcoming me to speak. I'm Madison Justice, and I live in Blacksburg in the Windsor Hills apartment complex. Oh, gosh, that got caught on, rustling of paper got caught on mic. So, beyond the clear moral imperative to oppose ICE, something to consider when it comes to how local governments chose to respond to ICE is whether or not our local government would want to take on the liability of collaborating with ICE. ICE officers frequently engage in warrantless searches and arrests, mistaken detentions of lawful citizens, and alleged use of excessive force. The Department of Homeland Security is dealing with so many judicial orders regarding people in ICE detention that famously a DHS lawyer begged to be held in contempt of court in order to get 24 hours of sleep. The agency has clearly gone rogue, and those who collaborate with rogue actors will be signing up to be held liable for those actions, and that's something to consider when our local governments consider how to engage with this agency. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. We are still in citizen comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak today?
Hello, I'm Molly Larson. I live in Blacksburg. I'm going to keep mine short because everybody else has been way more articulate. But I want to advocate for the town council to work with the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors to make a plan, as others have said, of how ICE will be handled in our community should the need arise. I have a lot of loved ones who live in Minneapolis, and their main advice for everybody is to be proactive. And I think that would be really important, even if we don't think they're going to come here. And I also want to show support for a previous commenter about needing a better plan for clearing sidewalks and bike paths in Blacksburg. I walk and bike almost everywhere, and it's been really hard to get to work for me the past 2 weeks. And also just like walking downtown is pretty rough right now, and as somebody who works at a small business downtown, it's been impacting foot traffic. Yeah, that's all. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello. Good evening. I'm Dale Wimberly, 1417 Crestview Drive, Blacksburg. And I want to start out by thanking you all for your service to the town. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of your time, and it's such an important part of the quality of life in this town. So I really appreciate what you've done for us. I'd like to speak to the role of Blacksburg Town Council in the face of growing authoritarian rule by the Trump administration, the actions of which continue to horrify me more and more, something that a lot of people are feeling, and I suspect probably all of you as well. More so than most people in the United States. In my life, I've come to be very familiar with authoritarian governments and their human rights abuses in Latin America. And those hold some lessons for us today in responding to what's going on with the Trump administration. So as just one example, Chile, this is a country that had, unlike most Latin American countries, an established experience of democracy over quite a few years. The military there were staunchly non-political. They saw themselves as under the command of the civilian elected government until they weren't in 1973. And a trip there some years ago, actually just after the dictatorship ended, a friend of mine showed me in the walls of his parents' brick house where he had grown up. Had been a teenager when the military coup came, bullet holes where a man who was associated with the previous elected government had been shot dead by security forces when he was standing on the corner right across the street. And like 20 years later, the holes were still there. I really don't see our situation now as being terribly far from that. It's very serious. And so as town council, what I'm asking you to do, I don't have specific proposals, but there needs to be a plan, a proactive plan to be prepared and not just be reactive. The most obvious threats are from ICE, but those are not the only ones. So what if ICE, though, sought to establish some office or detention center in Blacksburg? How would you approach that? Are there zoning laws, other ways you can interfere with that? Every bit of interference that we all can make ultimately protects our democracy. So what I'm asking from you is to develop a plan to be proactive and to help protect us here in our town and protect our democracy. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
My name is Alexa Casey. I live on, do I have to give the exact address or just the street?
It
doesn't matter. Okay,
yeah.
Greenwood Drive. So I wasn't planning on speaking today, but I felt compelled to do so. I came with my friends and activists and people that are concerned about ICE and what's happening with that, and doing whatever we can to speak up about it and to share the idea of having a plan so we're not reacting to things. The other thing that I'm also concerned about is also dealing with a lot of the AI data centers. That seems to be something that we are all noticing more and more. I've gone to Withville and heard a lot of things happening there, and a lot of these Bodetot and a lot of areas that are looking at AI data centers coming in. And I think that's also something that we have to be aware of and on top of. So I wanted to share my concerns about that. I wasn't really prepared to give a lot of information other than that. I listened to something recently about the importance of protests, and that's been something I'm involved in NRV Indivisible. I'm working on a campaign. There's a lot of things that I think are important. All of you have had campaigns and know how important that is, that people actually get involved and speak up. I felt I do not like doing what I'm doing right now. I don't do it very often, but I feel very compelled that it's important that we come out and we speak up. And we not only are we protesting, but we're coming here, working with local governments, and looking at making a difference in our community. That's really what makes, it really is what makes the world what it needs to be, the community that we want it to be. So I ask all of you, and I appreciate all of you having the citizen comments so we can share with you and somehow get a plan. I think ultimately there are ideas until there's an actual plan, until there's actually something that we come up with that we can have, that we all are working on together. So I'm here supporting my fellow friends and protesters and activists, and I want to just thank all of you for being a part of that as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We are still in citizen comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I wasn't planning to speak today, but I live in Virginia Tech. I'm a student. I wasn't planning to speak, but like they said, I do feel like this is an important issue, and I think that this should be a priority to definitely make sure that we're not complying with anything unlawful, and that the safety of the town is at the forefront of our minds. And as a student, I was pretty disappointed when Virginia Tech did comply with the current administration's requests. And I saw just a protest earlier today. I've seen protests through my first year here, and I can tell that a lot of students are frustrated with that as well. Yeah, but that's it, and thank you.
If we could get your name, please.
Walid Perez.
Yeah. Anyone else? We will go ahead and close citizen comments. Next, we have appointments. We have two different set of appointments here. The first is appointment for Laura Brown to the Housing and Community Development Advisory Board. Do we have a motion on that appointment?
I move approval of the appointment of Laura Brown to the Housing and Community Development Board. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would say that be careful when you come up to speak, because you might get appointed to a position. but this was already in process.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Goodhart.
Aye.
Hassoff.
Aye.
Sutphin.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Oliver.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
The next set of appointments, these are town council membership appointments and affiliations. So these are to our new faces we have up here today for Joel Goodhart and Andy Kassoff. So I'll just go ahead and read these, similar to what we did back in January for our other council appointments. So we were appointing Joel to the New River Valley Metropolitan Planning Organization, the Corridor Advisory Committee, and the Recreation Advisory Board. We're appointing Andrew to the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce Board, the New River Valley Agency on Aging as an alternate, and the Blacksburg Public Arts Committee. What is council's pleasure on these appointments and affiliations? Oh, actually, I left out a whole part of it. So we also, in addition to the regular committee appointments, we have affiliations. Andy Kassoff will be our representative to the Town Gown Committee, and Joel will be our representative to the Friends of the Farmers Market. So what is council's pleasure on these appointments and affiliations?
I move approval of Joel Goodhart and Andy Kassoff to these appointments and affiliations. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Kassoff.
Allowed to vote?
Yeah.
Aye.
Sutphin.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Oliver.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
Goodhart.
Aye.
The motion passes. Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? New business. Council announcements, and I will start us off with another council announcement, another proclamation. And this proclamation is about Francis Parsons, who recently passed away, was a council member for a very long time in the town of Blacksburg, and I know that Susan Anderson delivered the original signed version of this proclamation to the family earlier today. So I'll go ahead and read this. Whereas Francis Mitchell Parsons was born in Floyd County, Virginia, and came to Blacksburg at the age of 9, where she would build a life defined by devotion to family, community, and public service. And whereas Frances graduated from Blacksburg High School in 1951 and began her career at Virginia Tech, later dedicating herself wholeheartedly to her family and the betterment of the town she called home. And whereas Frances and her beloved husband Bernard designed and built their family home in Blacksburg, where she nurtured not only her children, but a lifelong commitment to civic engagement and neighborhood life. Whereas Frances served the town of Blacksburg with extraordinary distinction for decades, including 34 years on the Recreation Advisory Board, where she guided the development of the community center, aquatic center, and neighborhood parks that continue to enrich the lives of residents. And whereas Frances was elected to the Blacksburg Town Council in 1972 and served for 32 years as a council member, earning a reputation as a thoughtful, principled advocate for neighborhoods and good governance. And whereas among her many accomplishments, Frances considered her role in helping to rewrite the Blacksburg Town Charter to be one of her greatest contributions, strengthening the foundation of local government for generations to come. And whereas Frances's leadership extended beyond Blacksburg through her dedicated service to the Virginia Municipal League, culminating in her election as president of the organization in 1990, a singular honor reflecting the respect she earned across the Commonwealth. Now, therefore, I, Michael Sutphin, Mayor of the town of Blacksburg, do hereby proclaim our collective gratitude and deep respect for the life, service, and legacy of Frances Parsons, and honor her enduring contributions to the town of Blacksburg. So that was quite an announcement. Does anyone have any other council announcements that they would like to share?
Well, I would like to report that 5 of us up here went to the Virginia Municipal League Local Government Day last Thursday. We got to meet with our delegate, Lily Franklin. We got to meet with our senator, Senator Hackworth, and we had really productive conversations with them, and we are still in conversation with them through email about some bills. So again, it was a really productive day. And I want to remind people that we will have our town council retreat this Thursday. So we have 4 returning members, 3 brand new members. And so it's a day for us to get to know one another, to set our sights on what we want to accomplish over the next 2 years and beyond. And so I'm looking forward to getting to know these guys better.
Any other council announcements?
I have a request for the activists. I do want to find ways to help. This is something that I have been thinking about. If you could please stay so that we could talk about it a little bit more, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else? So our Vice Mayor mentioned our Town Council retreat is this Thursday. Our next Town Council work session is Tuesday, February 17th at 11 a.m. And our next regular meeting in these chambers is Tuesday, February 24th. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.